Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I'm delighted to have on the program Charles Herring, and he's with a company called the One America News Network. And I am delighted to have you on the program. How are you doing today, Charles?
Fantastic. How are you doing, Kevin?
Doing well, thanks. Tell us a little bit, first of all, tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into the news network. It's an interesting concept, just for the listener out there. It's a cable news network that also has other platforms, which we'll go into, providing an alternative to the so-called mainstream media out there. Charles, a little bit about your story, and then about the network.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary, by the way. For about 10 years, my family has been running a national cable channel called AWE. It's an acronym for A Wealth of Entertainment. And it's a real fun, vicarious living channel with a lot of travel on it, a lot of fast cars, outrageous homes. In addition, we've been showing news on that channel 3 times a day for 30 minutes for the last 10 years, which led us into One America News Network.
Okay, very good. Now, I personally don't have it. I have watched plenty of the segments because you wisely put the video of it online. And so I kind of now am in the habit of checking it on a daily basis just to see what's going on. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed. But tell us exactly how the network works, where you operate. I think it's a pretty cool business model with your partnership with the Washington Times.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about why we launched the channel and the focus of the channel. About 3 years ago, we noted that a lot of news outlets, television news outlets, were mixing opinion with news. And there's a lot of great reports indicating that viewers were frustrated. They may turn on a cable news network, whether it's on the right or the left, looking for news during prime time. And what they were getting was a lot of opinion. And they really wanted a credible source of national and international news. So we decided to basically use an old CNN model, and we provide credible news for 21, we have 21 live broadcasts per day of credible news, national, international, and we're just trying to go straight down the center and provide people a great source of news via the TV. In addition, we have 2 political talk shows, and those political talk shows are differentiated from our news. They're there for entertainment, for debate, for discussion, and they're a lot of fun. And those 2 shows are extremely popular also.
By the way, when do they air, the two political shows?
They air twice a day, and I'm embarrassed to tell you I don't know the exact time. I believe it's 5 p.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Pacific. And
is your weekend programming similar to the weekday programming?
It is.
Mm-hmm. And talk a little bit about the, first of all, how many homes are you in?
We're in about 15 million homes right now, and in Texas and across the nation. You can watch on Verizon Fios TV and AT&T UVerse.
Okay, very good. And I'm understanding that you're in the process of expanding that as quickly as you can. How does that look?
That's always a challenge. Probably the biggest challenge with launching a national cable channel is the distribution. We're working very aggressively to expand the distribution. We have a number of great partners right now, in addition to AT&T UVerse and Verizon Fios. CenturyLink Prism TV carries us in about 15 different markets. Frontier is carrying us. And I spend a lot of my time talking to the cable companies trying to expand the distribution.
Yeah, but
we're very hopeful that this year will be a great year for us.
That's probably a big part of your job. You know what they say, I'm pretty familiar with cable industries. 10 million is a pretty important threshold in that credibility process. So that's already really huge, reaching 15.
It's a good start, but there's about 100 million households in the United States that receive video through a paid service, and we still have a long ways to go. But we got a good start.
Yep. In the interim, people should continue to check out online at oann.com, correct?
Absolutely. And, a couple of the segments that we've done recently have gone viral. So I think a lot of people have been exposed to the network that way also.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk a little bit about the starting date when you formally officially launched the network.
Well, with a network called One America News Network, we launched on July 4th, 2013. So the network has been in existence as a 24/7 national cable channel for just over 2 years. We started out with 0 subs, as you noted. We're about 15 million subscribers now, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And you depend heavily, as far as reporters, on your friends over there at the Washington Times. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we use a number of different outlets for the news. The first thing that we needed to do 2 years ago when we launched is to have a D.C. presence. So the Washington Times was extremely helpful in providing space so we could build out a studio. So we built out a production studio and a small news bureau immediately, utilizing space at the Washington Times. Today, that studio has relocated to across the street from the United States Capitol at 101 Constitution. But we use a number of different sources, including our own staff. We have about 130 employees right now dedicated to One America News Network. But we also use Reuters and AP and Euronews and a wide variety of sources for producing live national and international news.
Talk a little bit about that commitment to try to differentiate yourself in terms of providing true objective news. I've seen the stories, and I think that they are very balanced. I like what I've seen reporting wise. Although I will say that the stories that you choose are often those stories that are completely ignored by the mainstream media because of the fact that discovering them at all kind of hurts the liberal narrative. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, here's what we're really trying to do. 21 hours a day, we have live national and international news. We probably produce more live content than any other news network in the United States, period. It's a pretty big statement. We don't allow our anchors to express opinion. So if an anchor wishes to express their opinion, they can apply to be a on-air talent for the political talk shows. But our anchors are there, and our writers are there to provide a source of credible news. And really, we do everything we can to stay true to that. I can tell you at times we've had problems and we've made mistakes on both sides, but it's really hard to do. And the reason is you can get stories, and a great example is the NSA issue and the leaking by Snowden and others. As soon as you brand Snowden, either as a whistleblower or as a traitor, you're skewing the story. So we do everything we can to rewrite stories that are coming in, to stay as neutral as we can, and it's difficult in this environment. As you know, media tends to lean left, not always, and so we're always trying to knock the stories back towards the center.
Yeah, that is a challenge. That's a very, very difficult challenge. I'm glad you guys are taking it on. I can see it having tremendous potential. A lot of people are very disgruntled with, the lopsided approaches on both the left and the right. The vast majority, in my opinion, is left. And so I'm delighted to see an effort to move things to the center. And I've been arguing for a long time that if you're interested in restoring the values that makes America great, we've got to get back to that idea of critical thinking, that individuals bring their own information, their own knowledge, and they weigh the facts. And that can't be done in the context of a CNN and some of these other channels out there, and especially MSNBC, which to me is pure propaganda. So I'm delighted that you're taking this approach.
I appreciate the comments. We do get viewer feedback. More importantly, being on AT&T, UVerse, and Verizon Fios, the set-top boxes are two-way, and what that means is not only are the signals going into the house, but as you're at home watching TV and you're clicking channel up, channel down, or volume up, all that information, your channel clicking, is recorded and sent back to a centralized location. Now, they don't report that information by the individual household, but they do by zip code, and we get access to that information, so we know how well the channel's performing. We've moved up nicely. We're now the fourth-rated cable network based on the set-top box, the actual quantitative data. So we're real pleased with how the network is performing right now. Still has a long ways to go.
I think that's fantastic. Talk a little bit about the political shows that you do. What would you say their editorial approach is?
Well, there's no doubt they start from the center and they lean right. Mm-hmm. That was done for two reasons. One is if you go out and you look at all the sources of political talk shows, most of them lean left, and there's a big opportunity and a very large market right now for right-leaning shows.
Yeah.
About half the voters in the United States, I think, are frustrated. I think the country is more polarized than ever. And really the two talk shows, The Daily Ledger with Graham Ledger and On Point with Tommy Lahren, they're there to inform but also entertain. So sometimes the talk show hosts, and I'm aware of this, but the audience may not always be, they'll play devil's advocate. And they're really trying to understand someone's point on why they believe the way they do. And I think for that reason, they do complement the news, but we keep them clearly differentiated from our news programming.
Yeah, I think that's very smart, and I like the approach, and I congratulate you on it. And I'd love to get you back on. I'd like to do more stories on this because I think this is really important.
Well, I definitely appreciate the time and the interest.